Hello, what's up guys? Welcome to a brand new video where we are going to discuss about how we going to create a session for batch transactions. So in our previous video, we did create a session and execute a single transaction, but in this video, we are going to create a session and execute multiple transactions by badging them, right? So yeah, I'm very excited for this particular video. I hope you are too. So let's get started. Alright, so yeah, as you can see on my screen, we have a Biconomy session key demo already, and we can sign in using two chains, Ethereum Sepolia and Polygon MOI, and we are using MetaMask for that. And in our previous videos, I have already explained you guys how you can create a smart account for yourself using the Biconomy SDK, so you can watch that video. Now I'm just going to normally EOA sign in using MetaMask, and as soon as I do it, you can see a smart account address here, and the chain is Polygon MOI, and we have got a few things here, so I'll explain what each one of those do. So create session, where we're going to write a function about creating a session for batch transactions, and batch transaction will execute basically all those batched transactions. Okay, so we're gonna write the function for that too. And get count value is okay, so I'll explain what is happening here. So today we are going to batch two transactions basically. So the first transaction will be the increment count, okay, which is in the previous video, as I already told you, right, there is a contract that I made, and in that contract I'm just incrementing the count by one, and it is going on chain. So get count value is just to get the current count value of that particular count in that contract on this particular chain, which is Polygon MOI. So if you click on it, you'll get to know what is the count value now. So it's around 157. Okay, so and get NFT count is the second function which we are going to batch with it. So the get NFT count is basically I'm minting an NFT to this particular smart account address. Okay, so I'm minting an NFT for this particular smart account address, and let's see if I have NFT for this particular account. So if I click on this, I have one NFT. Okay, so I have got one NFT, and we are going to do two transactions, which is first the increment count, and second is the minting of the NFT. Okay, so these are the two transactions, and we will batch them together and create a session for that, and using that session we can execute these two transactions together. So yeah, this is what we are going to do this in this video. So let's start with creating a session for this. Cool. So now what we are going to do is create a session for batch transactions. So as you can see in my code here, and we have already this defined the chains, and so the first thing that you need to understand is that in the previous video we are almost using the same code here, so you don't need to worry about anything going here. So you can just check out the code and the live demo in the YouTube description box, and you can play around with it. So let's just start with the coding session, and first what we have to do is we are going to declare a const with sponsorship, which we are going to use multiple times in the code. So first just write const with sponsorship, which is equals to should be a paymaster service data, and the mode which needs to be specified is paymaster mode sponsored, right, just like that. Cool. So that's all, and now what we are going to do is we are going to declare a function which is called create session with sponsorship, and for that we'll just write a function. In this function, what we are going to do is we are just going to create the session for the batched transactions. Okay, so I've already told you about the transactions that we are going to do, and just like that. Cool. Now what we need to do is we'll grab a session key address and session storage client from create session key EOA. So we just going to type const session key address address and session storage client. And this should be await create session key EOA. Yeah. And let's see what session key EOA takes here. It takes a smart account and a chain. So we'll pass a smart account and a chain, which should be chains, chain selected dot chain ID. No, it should be chain. And this should be type error. So I'll just remove it. Cool. So yeah, you need not to worry about type errors, and you can resolve it, or you can just give the type while declaring the use state, or yeah. So this is how you do. Now we have the session key address and session storage client, and now what we are going to do is create the ABI session leaf. Right now this is session leaf, and this is like a policy which you are going to declare for the transactions that you're doing. So in the previous video we were doing a single policy, and for this video we need around 2 policies because we are doing 2 transactions and we are badging them. So either you can declare, so there are 2 types of declaring the policy. So either you can do it in ERC20 session leaf. So if you just type ERC20 session leaf, session leaf, which type is create session data params equals create ERC20 session datum. And if you look into this, we are going to declare an interval, right? So we have interval, and it should be valid until 0. So this means it's till infinity. It's going to work. No need to worry about time. And then we are going to have session key address, just like that, and session key data, it should be encode ABI parameters. Where can I find it? Yeah, right here. Cool. And in that we're gonna pass an array of the arguments. So let's talk about a mint NFT. Mint NFT function needs a single argument, which is the smart account address. So it's of type address. So all you need to do is pass type, and it should be address, just like that. Okay, and you're done. Now the last thing that you need to do is under this array you're gonna pass another array of arguments. In this I'm gonna type smart account address. Cool. So this is how you can do, right? It's a type error, so you can just, so basically this is what I'm talking about. This is like ERC20 session leaf, where you are declaring so it's a type of policy, okay? And this is not more flexible. I'll tell you what is more flexible, which you can easily use. So in this you have to define the type of the arguments that you're gonna pass into the function, and also the arguments of the function, right? So this is what you have to pass in ERC20 session leaf. But I'll tell you about a more flexible way of doing it. Instead of using ERC20 session leaf, you can use ABI session leaf. So let me just tell you what ABI session leaf is, right? And we'll just remove this code. It's not required for now. Cool. Wait. So const ABI session leaf. So basically we are having 2 session leaf. So I'll just name it as 1, and its type is create session data params, and it should be equal to create ABI session data datum. And in that I'm going to pass interval, similar in the way that we did valid until. This should be 0, just to make it till infinity, valid after 0 again, and then we need to pass a session key address, a contract address. So this is about the increment count. So for increment count we have got this address, and then we have a function selector which should be increment, in a string, increment, exactly, right? And then we need to pass rules for this particular transaction. Like in the previous video I also told you, for increment count we don't need rules because we are not passing any argument in this, so we just gonna pass an empty array. And for value limit, again it's gonna be big int 0, just like that. Cool. And we are getting this error, which is the type error, so we can just ignore it like that. Cool. So this is the ABI session leaf 1 for increment count, and then we are going to have another one, ABI session leaf 2. Create session data params equals to the same thing. So either we can just copy it. No, we're not gonna copy it. We're gonna start over again. So yeah, cool. And I think this is more. And now what we are going to do is we need a session key address. So session key address like this, and then we will need a contract address. So for this, the contract address is the NFT address, so we are just going to write chain selected dot NFT address. Cool. So that will be it. And then we need a function selector. For this, as you can see, we need a argument in the function, right? So it's called safement. The function is called safement, and in this we need an address. That's it. Cool. So that can be done like this, and then we need to pass rules. So yeah, for this particular ABI session leaf we will need rules because there is an argument in this. So what we are going to do is we're going to type offset. So offset will be 0, and then we'll need a condition. So in the previous video I told you about offset and condition, why it should be 0. So it should be 0 because we are just we want the value to match. Okay, so the reference value is smart account address, so we need it to be equal to the smart account address. Okay, and should be a type error. Okay, we can ignore it for now, and then rules is done. After that we're gonna pass a value limit which is big int 0. Cool. And you can just resolve it like this. Cool. So yeah, we have got 2 ABI session leaves now. So first is the ABI session leaf 1, which is for the increment count function, and the ABI session leaf 2 for the mint function. Right now what we need to do is we are going to move further, and we need to define a thing called as policy leaves. Okay, so const policy leaves, and that should be create session data params array. So its type should be an array. Okay, and if you just do it like this, we need ABI session leaf 1 and ABI session leaf 2. Cool. And that's it. The next thing that we are going to do is क्या अरे उन्नम्मा recording अम्मा दरवाजा टाइट बंचे से. Yeah, so the next thing that we are going to do is we are gonna create the batch session, the most awaited thing for now. So yeah, we're gonna wait for it, and we're gonna get session from it. So it should be await and create batch session like that. Cool. And in this, let's see what create batch session needs. So it needs around 3 or 4 arguments, which is smart account, session key address, and the thing that we declared with sponsorship and batch session config. So let's pass them each on a series like this. So we need a smart account, then we need a session storage client, we need policy leaves, and with sponsorship. Cool. And that is it, which is required to create a batch session, and we can just type ignore it like this. Cool. So this is what we need, and I think this should be done. I think we are getting some error. Okay, cool. So yeah, now what we need to do is we can just wait for the transaction to happen. So receipt transaction hash success, then equals to wait and wait, just like that. Cool. And this will just do it for you. We can console log transaction hash like that. Cool. So this will just create the batch session for you. So the two transactions, as I told you about. So the first transaction is the increment count, the second transaction is the mint NFT one. So we are going to batch those two transactions and create a session for it. Okay, so using this particular function you can create the session for it. Now the next thing that we need is to execute the batched transactions, and for that we are going to write another function, right?
Another one.
Alright, so now we are going to write a function which is a batch transaction function, and in this function we are going to execute both the transactions, which is the increment count transaction and the mint NFT transaction. So let's just write a function for it. We will call this function as batch transaction, and it should be a async function. Like this. Cool. And after this we are going to declare a const emulated uses smart account, equals to await create session smart account client. Instead of this we need create session smart account client, and in this we are going to first pass a smart account address. So it should be account address, which should be smart account address, like that. Wait, like that. And we will need a bundler URL, then we need a paymaster URL, chain ID, like that. And I think that's all we need. And then we need to have, either you can pass a smart account address here or a session ID. Okay, so you can pass the session ID that you create from this particular function, and you can just pass that session, like you can just store it and pass it here, or you can pass a smart account address like this. Cool. And the next thing that is important here is you have to declare a boolean called true here, which works for batch session. So if you are in a batch session mode, so you have to declare here true. Okay, awesome. So yeah, that's all we need for emulated users a smart account. And the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to create transaction objects. So the first is this one. Okay, now for the increment count one, we are going to have a transaction called main transaction, const min transaction equals to 2 should be the contract address, so it should be chain selected or increment contract address, and then we are going to pass data here, and it should be encode function data, and in that we can just pass normally ABI, and it should be the contract ABI, the function name, it should be increment, yeah, like that. Arguments, as we are not passing any arguments, so it should be an empty array, and that's it. So this should be the transaction object for the increment count function. Then we need NFT mint transaction object. It should probably look like this. 2, which should be the NFT address. Okay, it's good. Sometimes I really like GitHub Copilot, but I think I should just do it like this. Now, so you can see encode function data. ABI is the contract ABI. No, it is not contract ABI. It should be parse ABI. Okay, parse ABI, where it should be, I think, function safe mint address. I think it's suggesting me this right thing. Safe mint address 2, like that. We don't need this. Cool. I think this should be correct, and then we need arguments as a smart account address. Let's check the ABI again. I'm really not sure about the ABI, so yeah, it should be function safe mint address 2. I think this looks correct. Cool. And we're gonna ignore it like this, and so the arguments should be smart account address that we are passing, and then we are also passing function safe mint address like this. Cool. So then we have declared the NFT mint transaction as well. Then the next thing that we need is we are going to bash them in an array like this. Transaction equals to mint, exactly like that. Now what we need to have next is bash session params. Okay, so this is how it looks like, and we're going to await and get bash session transaction params, and it should be the transactions, which is the array, and it should be 0 and 1. So it should be in the correct order. So the policy leaves that you have already declared, and the transaction objects that you're declaring here, so they should be in sequence. So the policy leaves, in the policy leaves, the ABI session leaf 1 was for the increment count, leaf 2 was for the NFT mint, and similarly we have transaction object as 1 as 0 for increment count and 1 for the NFT mint. Okay, so this should be in a sequence. Okay, you should not miss the sequence. The next thing that we are going to have is a smart account address, right? So this is again a storage client that you're gonna pass here, and then we need is a chain. I think we need a chain here. Yes, we need a chain. Cool. So it should be chain selected dot chain, not chain ID. Yeah, so you can just cool. So you can just do it like this, and the next thing that we are going to do is wait for to send the transaction. Basically we are going to send the transaction now, so we are going to have wait from this, and we're gonna wait and send the transaction. So using the emulated user smart account that we already declared, we are going to send the transaction, and it needs 2 things. So the transactions, and we need batch session params, wait, I think batch okay, I just misnamed it, so it should be called batch session params. And yeah, so batch session params, and we're gonna pass with sponsorship here, like that. Cool. So transactions is the transaction object where we are having both the transactions and wait here. So cool, I think that's all we need, and we can just pass this transaction and send it. The next thing that we are going to have is a receipt for this particular transaction. So we are going to have transaction hash, await and wait for it. We are also going to have success, maybe. Yeah. So yeah, also, and we can just set this transaction hash so that you can also see it like that. Cool. So yeah, I think this is all we have to do here, and you can easily bash the transactions and execute them. Cool. So yeah, before that I'll just add some Toastify to it so that it looks beautiful. So just give me a moment, I'll just come in a snap.
A few moments later.
Alright, so done and dusted. So now, as you can see on my screen, we are all set to see whether our session for batch transaction does it work or not. Okay, so let's just sign in using Polygon MY, and now you can see we have a smart account address. Create session will create a session, and batch transaction will just execute the batch transactions. Okay, so just let's just know what the count value is now. It should be the same, 157, and yeah, it's 157, and the get NFT count, it's 1. So let's just go and create a session for it. So this will take a few seconds. MetaMask pop up, and you just have to sign that, and as soon as you sign, you'll have a session being created. So session creation is successful. Now you have to execute the batch transactions. Okay, so if you click on this and just wait for a few seconds, you'll see a transaction hash just like that.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
Okay, so this is the transaction hash, and if you get count value now, it should be incremented by 1, and that's 158. And if you see the get NFT count, and that should be 2. Okay, and if you look into the transaction hash on MY, so if you go here, you'll see that there is an NFT being minted. So one NFT token ID from this address to this, which is my smart account address. Okay, so right, so that's how we do it, and increment count has also been done via this badging of transactions. Okay, so yeah, you can use this session since it's till infinity, so you can use this session multiple times, and that's how a batched session, not batch session, but creating a session for batch transactions work. So you can just take a look at the live demo app and the code repo, which I have provided for you guys in the YouTube description, and you can just play around and let me know if you need any other tutorial regarding Biconomy SDK, or you need something to play around with or experiment with. Just let me know in the comment section, right? And that's it for this particular video. I hope you had fun coding along with me, and see you in the next video. We are going to come with some new features as well. So yeah, I hope you tune us in and subscribe to Biconomy, and I'll see you later. Thank you so much for your time.